Okay, hello everybody, and Hero77 with yet another G.I. Joe action figure review, and we are here today. This is YouTube. Hello YouTube. For all of my people out there watching to watch for a Mandela video, here's how things work. I do action figure review, action figure review, action figure review. And then I will do a Mandela review. Except this time I have more action figures than I have Mandela effects. So that answers that question. Well, this week we will be reviewing the 1985 Airtight G.I. Joe Airtight action figure and Toxo Viper. So, for those of you that tuned in last time and saw my opening of the Toxo Viper, then you know exactly what you're in for. So, with no further ado, let's get to the review. First off, we have the 1985 Hostile Environment figure, codename Airtight, from 1985. Was reproduced again in 1986 and discontinued for 1987. Airtight comes with this weapon, and I'm not exactly sure what it is. His media contributions can be seen on the Sunbow G.I. Joe cartoon series. I'm not quite sure about the comic books because I, quite frankly, never collected the comic books when I was a kid, nor did I collect them as an adult. But one of the most prominent episodes that he is featured in is called The Germ, in which the G.I. Joes deliver several things to this huge germ. If you watch the episode, it's kind of like the Blob in a lot of ways. But anyway, you could see this guy in that episode. So just look for it. If you have the G.I. Joe DVD collection, or you can look for it and Google it, whatever. Airtight, we'll look at the file card here in a second, but his equivalent, his Cobra equivalent, he didn't really get one in 1985. That came later in 1988, the 1988 Toxo Viper, who came with a set of accessories who you can see I successfully was able to get back together. If you watch my last video, you know what that's all about. And if you put these two side by side, you can see the comparisons. Now let's take a look at Airtight, the one we are reviewing. He came with a non-removable helmet, and he came with this padding here, these yellow jumpsuit, which almost looks like a jumpsuit for a hazmat, which it might have been a hazmat suit at the time. The hazmat suit had pockets on the outside of the pants. He had green boots, green gloves, a green helmet, and a green patch underneath his, what I am only going to assume is like for his oxygen. And then you have the backpack, which has fans on it, and I'm assuming the fans keep the toxos from getting to him, pardon the pun. And this gun over here, I'm not quite sure what it's called, but it's not a gun, even though it does in fact have a trigger. If you look at the card packaging, you can in fact see a trigger here. And there's not really much to say
it's supposed to be a sifter.
Airtight, except
a sniffer.
There really wasn't much for him to do. If you had this figure as a kid, I can only assume that one would use him as a diver or an airplane pilot of some sort. Comment in the comment section below what you used him for. If you had this figure when you were a kid, or even if you didn't have this figure as a kid, if you had this figure right now, what would you use him for? And now we'll take a quick look at his file card, as I do have a full card back. I don't know if you could see all of this, but I will read it to you. Hostile environment, codename airtight. File name Schumer Kurt. I won't read that. Primary military specialty CBR. CBR stands for chemical, biological, and radiological. And his secondary military specialty, ordnance. Okay. Place of birth, New Haven, Connecticut. If you notice, a lot of these G.I. Joes seem to be from Connecticut. And I will read the file card to you again. I have to put my eyes off the camera here. Kurt was the kid who could hold his breath the longest. He was also the kid who had the largest collection of plastic dinosaurs on the block. He was a weird kid who grew up in an even stranger adult. It takes a mighty weird person to walk into a cloud of toxic gas strong enough to fill a mutant weightlifter cockroach wearing a protective suit built under contract for the government by the lowest bidder. Now, the way this reads is kind of funny. It's weird. The way it reads, because there's no period or anything, it says, weightlifter cockroach wearing a protective suit. So is the cockroach wearing the protective suit? They're not too clear on that. Now, here's the little article here at the bottom. I'll just read it to you. Airtight is an unreformed practical joker, sneezing powder, plastic barf, whoopee cushion, the whole bit. No prank is too low for him. You'd think the other Joes would hate his guts, but they don't, because when the bad guys escalate the firefight and start playing dirty, it's good old Airtight who suits up and wades into the thick of it. Now, it doesn't say good old Airtight, it just says it's old Airtight. Old Airtight. I read that wrong. But anyway, yeah, this says made and printed in Hong Kong 1983 and 1985. So maybe he was produced in 1983 and then discontinued in 1985. I probably read that wrong. So anyway, there you have it. There is the sums up of Airtight. I really don't have a whole lot much more to say about this figure. And plus, that gets us on to his Cobra equivalent. I do like the full card back, by the way. I do like having it. We will put him to the side for now. And we will take a look at the Cobra equivalent. Not much to say about him. He is a toxo viper, and since I can't read this because it's not in English, I will just simply say that even though he's not one of the best looking figures, in fact he is one ugly ass figure, I did have this figure when I was a kid, so it does hold a lot of meaning for me. And real quick, we'll take a look at his supplies. As you can see, the helmet is removable. You take that off, and you have what almost looks bug-like. It looks insect in nature, or maybe amphibious. So you could also probably use this toxo viper as I would say most kids probably used him as a amphibious salt viper of some sort if they didn't have the cobra eels. And you notice on his backpack as well, there's a fan blade, and you have these things. Now, I'm going to mention about the backpack really quick. Let's take it off there. It's kind of finicky. The backpack, there it goes, if you notice, is green. Now, this is the Fun School version of this backpack. I do have the original black backpack because the backpack in America was black originally, but I do like that it is a green color. It kind of fits with the whole toxic waste motif or whatever. I do like this guy's colors, even though he is an ugly figure. You've got the blue, all the details are covered in. You've got purple and the dark red gloves. There's really nothing else much to say about this figure. You got the hoses. I assume this is how he breathes. These hoses go all the way around. Although there's, and you see the little vents in his face hood. And I like these little blue panels on the back of his boots. He's got black boots. He's got the rubber O-ring, which allows his waist to move back and forth. He's got the arms, which move up and down. He can bend at the elbow about 90 degrees. I'm not going to do too much bending on him. And then he's got this gun. I'm not quite sure what the gun is. I'm assuming it shoots out toxic waste. And there you have it. There's the Toxo Viper. Now, as I mentioned before, I had a Toxo Viper as a child. However, as G.I. Joes and Cobras tend to do, he did fall apart. And I have parts of him scattered everywhere. When I was a kid, I tried to tape him up because I didn't know how to fix him. But as you can see, I clearly fixed this one. I gave him a new O-ring and a new middle brace. I don't know if the camera can show this. Let's pause it for a minute. The legs do spread so far apart, and you can see the metal brace that was in there connecting the legs. That part snapped off, so I had to basically rebuild him like a $6 million man. Anyway, that is it for my action figure review. I hope you've all enjoyed this two-part action figure aka box opening review that I've done with these figures. And this has been Hebro. And my next video, stay tuned for my Mandela affected community out there. I will have a Mandela effect video and then 2 more action figure videos after that. This is Hebro77 saying good night and good luck.